Hello, hello, hello everybody, and welcome back to LRC. We are here today for the 9th round of the Tier 1 season, here at one of the most challenging circuits on the whole calendar. It is time for the LRC Tier 1 Dutch Grand Prix. My name is Coolest, and I'm very happy to be joining you in the commentary box once again today. Unfortunately, wrong graphic there. Unfortunately, we do not have Spinotto with us today. He's sadly not able to make it, a little bit sick at the moment, so we wish him well. Hopefully we get to see him back this time next week. But yeah, as you may have noticed, the session is already well underway, as we have, quite a few drivers have forgotten to put their numbers on here, so that's not great. We'll have to try and work out who they are in over the course of the few sessions. We do have plenty of new drivers for today's race, so almost to be expected, but yeah, we can see the qualifying session is well underway already. We've got 14 minutes remaining as Julian in the Williams jumps up to the top once again. He was right on form last week, wasn't he? In Spa, he was at the front of the field, took pole, and by a pretty convincing margin as well, looking mighty quick in that Williams, as effectively serving as Ocron's predecessor and doing a very good job of upholding the reputation so far, as Flevo has been disqualified from the session. That is one of our new drivers in the Alpha Tauri today. He is out of the session already. I think there was an Alfa Romeo might have been getting a little bit in the way of the Williams of Julian there, but yeah, he was right on the pace in Spa and almost was able to get the win, but a safety car did not play into his hands, and well, guess who took it? It was the one and only Lamano, who is not here today. You will be, well, intrigued to know, shall we say, as that will mean that we are expecting quite a close competition. I mean, he did say he wasn't feeling too confident at this track anyway, but hasn't been able to make the race, so I'm going to be even closer now, as I'm not sure who the second McLaren is filling in for him, but I'll try and work that out over the course of the session. We have plenty of times coming in now. Shadow has jumped up into second place, and Lrc, one of our many home drivers, gets up into fourth. There's there might even be a few home drivers that I don't actually know about here, with some of the new drivers joining the league. I'm not sure exactly where everybody's nationality is yet, so I apologise if I miss anybody, but Lrc is one of the ones who we do know for a fact is having his home race today, and he'll be hoping to put in another good performance like he did last time out, getting third in Spa, and he is currently, I would say, well on track to do the same again, as he is fourth in the session right now, although about 6.5 tenths off of Julian, who is again looking really quick in that Williams, just like he did last time out, and yeah, I'll have to say Slash gets really close to the grass there, and we ride on board with the Dutchman now, as he heads down towards the last couple of corners into the final sector. Very tricky little chicane, this one. Got to keep it off that massive sausage curb on the inside, and then quite hard to get the power down on the exit, but Lrc does a good job of it there. Into this another corner with a massive sausage curb on the inside, and then to the famous banked corner at the final turn. Lrc keeping it very low down to the inside, and that is, as I was about to say, because he is coming into the pits. So Lrc will end his first lap there. And yeah, we will have a look around. We're sort of getting to that stage in the session where all of the drivers are cycling back into the pit lane, but we'll see if anybody's still out. We have Kvyat Bonner currently in the Alfa Romeo, interestingly. So I'm gonna take a punt and assume that he's not a full-time Ferrari driver anymore. Either that, or he has just made a switch within the academy, and no, maybe somebody else has gone the other way. Well, actually, no, I think somebody's just taken his number, because he is still in the Ferrari. I've just noticed him. Hasn't actually set a time yet, so I don't know who this is. I don't know who's driving the Alfa Romeo, who just so happens to also be running the number 26. So, yeah, plenty of drivers not adhering to the number rules today, which is not great, but I will try my best to work out who exactly it is. I'll pull up, if you give me a second, I will pull up the entry list for today's race and see if I can try and make my best attempt at matching drivers, as we see the Alfa Romeo driver pulling into the pits now. The mystery Alfa Romeo driver. Alright, let me have a look here. Alright, so we have, yeah, we do have quite a few reserves in, as you'll have noticed, and quite a lot of new drivers, so I'll try my best to figure it out. Maybe it might end up being between sessions, but yeah, we'll see. I tell you what, actually, once we get to the end of qualifying, it will come up with all the names, so we'll have to do a bit of quick memory practice, as we have to effectively speedrun learning what teams everybody's driving for and try and retain that knowledge going into the race. So until then, it's, well, anybody's guess, really. But yeah, we have some of the drivers making their way back out onto the track now. There's this, no, not Exist. Exist does have his, well, I'd imagine he has his number set up. Oh, he might not do, actually, because I think this might be him. Honestly, I don't know at this point. We have so many drivers who don't have the right numbers that I have no idea who is who here. I might end up, I tell you what, I might end up having to switch the graphics off, to be honest, because it's just a bit too confusing. So I tell you what, if you give me 1 second here, and I will try and do just that, because clearly this is not going to be working particularly well. So just 1 second, let me disable all of this. Okay, do that, and we will revert back to the usual format. There we go. Okay, so yeah, unfortunately we'll have to use this time. It will just be too confusing otherwise. There must have been about 6 drivers who didn't have the correct number set up, so we'll have that rectified for next time. We didn't have Aero here to do the briefing today, so it's understandable. Everything was thrown together a little bit last minute, but hey, we've still got a qualifying session going on, and there is a Red Bull going for a huge spin on the exit of that ultra high-speed right-hander. It's a super tricky turn, that one, and Sandre getting incredibly lucky not to bin it into the wall there. He did back it in, but with no major force, and lives to fight another day in this session, so he is a lucky boy. As you can see, that is Julian making his way through behind, and currently on a 1 minute 10.8, but I would imagine trying to improve, although now he's got front wing damage. Just notice, you can see his end plate there, you can see it is clearly missing, so Julian will have to come back into the pits here with 8 minutes to go. He'll have plenty of time to get back out, but not ideal for him, as Shadow now is going to try and do his best to capitalise on the unfortunate error that came in from Julian. Not sure what happened to him, but Shadow will not really mind what's happened to him, and he'll just be looking to make the most of the chance as he heads through the middle sector now. One of the, as I mentioned earlier on, one of the most challenging sectors in, well, in all of F1, especially in LRC here. And the F1 game can be extremely difficult to get right, and Shadow has done a pretty good job of it so far, to be fair to him. Into the final sector now, gets a nice line through the right-left chicane there, and into the last 2 corners now. Here he comes. Gotta be careful on that curb there on the exit. It can spin you around if you put down too much throttle, but Shadow has done a good job here. Is he going to go to the line? No, he's going back into the pits, so making a speedy in lap. Meanwhile, Lrc has jumped up into second, so the home crowd seems to be cheering him on here, doing him a world of good, because he's only, well, about 1/10 of a second off pole time, and if he can improve again, then we might just be seeing one of our home Dutch drivers on the well, top spot of qualifying. Not yet the race. We'll have to see how that one goes a little bit later on. But yeah, Lrc is doing a good effort so far. Meanwhile, we have, I think Blunder is on a lap here. Is he? I'm not sure. No, he's just, he's lost all of his ERS, so he must have just finished one. Wiser Red making his way through in the other Alfa Romeo. That is not Kvyat Bonner, that is who the other one was. So he's exiting turn 3 now, making his way up this climb towards, I think, turn 7, if I'm not mistaken. Through this high-speed corner. He's a bit far off the apex there, but can still carry quite a bit of speed, which is the most important thing at that corner. There are a couple of different lines to take, although generally just sticking it as close to the curb as you can is usually going to be the most efficient, but we'll have to see if Wiser Red is able to improve on his time once he crosses the line. Does seem to be going for a lap here. He's got the DRS open on the straight, and through the chicane. Can't really tell what he's doing through there, but it seemed okay. Wasn't in the gravel at least. That's the most important thing. As he heads towards the final 2 corners now, gets a nice line through there, just about kept it off the curb, into the banking. Are we going to get to see a driver finish a lap here? No, we're not. Oh wait, yes we are. Teased me there, and across the line, Wiser Red goes 3rd. So nice lap by him, the Alfa Romeo, clearly proving that there are a couple of lines that you can take around turn 7, and he is up into 3rd place and only a fraction of a second behind Lrc as well. So good stuff by him in the Alfa Romeo on his debut. So we'll have to see how he continues on from here. Of course, we still have plenty of drivers yet to set their final times in the session with 5 minutes left. Plenty of people in the pits, as is to be expected. We'll have to see as well which drivers have used what amount of tyres and what compound of tyres as well, if anybody's done anything different. It's Kvyat on oh, that was close, getting right up to the gravel and the grass there on the exit of turn 7. That corner proving a very tricky one today, as it so often does. And into the, well, I don't even know what kind of corner to categorise that as. It's like a wide hairpin that leads onto the back straight. And still, no, yeah, I think he's saving ERS now, so Bonnet has, I'd say, pretty sensibly backed off of this previous lap. So we have Julian is on an outlap now, but this is his teammate here, Smolly, running it right up to the wall on the exit of the banking. Can Smolly improve on his time? Not sure if he's about to start one or not yet. Looks like he is just about to start his lap, so we'll have to see. Can Smolly put in a decent qualifying performance here? He's currently, I think 11th would currently be his best qualifying performance of the season so far. He has missed the last few races, to be fair to him, so we'll have to see if he's been able to make any improvements on pace in the meantime while he's been gone. Looks like it so far, quite close to the times of the cars ahead, so we'll have to see if he's able to get even closer and maybe get ahead of them as he goes through turn 7 now. Oh, that's too far, pushed it. Oh, and he's going to lose it through turn 8, but somehow is going to keep it out of the barriers through a very tight section of track, and quite sensibly backs it off the track there to get out of the way of the oncoming traffic. And I think he's got a bit of a gap in the road now to get back on. But yeah, it's the commentator's curse again. Every time I watch somebody, they seem to make a mistake. So I apologise to Smiley. This is his. He is one of the other drivers who is having his home race this weekend, and yeah, that's not ideal for him. But he will get the chance to go again. We have 3 minutes left in the session, and I believe his teammate is on a flying lap right now. So he heads into, or in towards the final sector, I should say. Exits that corner right now, looking pretty good through there. Will pass his teammate on the way into the final 4 turns. Here we go. We'll ride on board through the chicane. Runs it a little bit deep, but then tightens it up. That is probably the preferable line through that corner. It's almost like a double apex, and into the penultimate corner. Clip the curb on the inside and then smashes the curb on the outside. That's exactly what I said a few moments ago. That curb can catch you out, and it has done exactly that to our current provisional pole sitter here, as I think Shadow might have just gone through there. Indeed it was, but Shadow, can he go to the line? Can he improve? Yes, he can, and goes, oh, so close to getting first place, but 0.02 of a second off. And Julian, by the skin of his teeth, after that accident, will hang on to pole position for the time being. He's back in the pits though now. He won't have time to get back out again, I'd imagine, before the end of the session. The game does take quite a while to put everyone back, to put you back into the pits and then bring you back out. So that could be session over and done with for our current provisional pole sitter. But Shadow and, well, a lot of other drivers are not done just yet. So, is Shadow on another lap? No, he's not got the ERS, so he's probably going to do, well, I was assuming he might do a save lap and then try and push again, but he hadn't. He was still on 4% halfway around the lap, so we'll have to see if he can, if he does have anything more in the tank. Here comes Joe Carter across the line to start his lap now. He's been fairly quick so far on his return to LRC, and he is reserving for Aston Martin today. So no, he's not on a lap, so he must have just finished one and not improved, because he's got no ERS left in the tank. And with 1 minute and 30 seconds left to go, we don't have too many drivers improving just yet. But with that said, that is plenty of time, for even if you were to leave the pits now, you would just be able to start another lap. So in fact, I think I did just see somebody just do that. It might have been YBKX Ghost down in 14th place, so he will need to set a time in the other Red Bull, or a better time, as we do have, of course, a couple of drivers who are observing qualifying bans, I believe, which is Kimi and I think Maxcon as well. As to the line now comes the Red Bull, but no, back into the pits. So Sandre is not going to improve on his P7 time, and he's going to have to hope that nobody else is able to beat it either. As we can see, here's the classic Zandvoort traffic jam starting to queue up in the final sectors here. As we have 45 seconds left in the session. It's almost impossible to tell how long there is left from all the yellow flags from everyone going so slowly, but everyone, I would imagine, is going to be raring to get their lap times underway. You can see Lrc weaving about to get heat into his tyres, and here he will go now. So we'll follow our home favourite driver around now for his final lap of the session. Simo's retired from the session. I'm not sure. I think he was in the pits though, and Jakarta I think was as well. So here comes Lrc. Can he do anything else now? Can he get himself back onto the front row and maybe even pole position? He's looking pretty clean through the first corner here. So he heads through turn 1 as it is, into turn 2, and through the banking of turn 3, keeps it quite low and tight to the inside. I'll give him a good mid-corner, but then will be quite slow off the exit. So there is 2 different lines you can take through there. We'll have to see if this one pays off for Lrc as he heads now into the fast right-hander of turn 7. Can he keep it clean through here? Looks like he can. He's got to keep it tight to the apexes, but not too tight because there is grass lurking everywhere around this track. So why some of the drivers love it so much in real life. It will punish your mistakes, but Lrc has not made any of those just yet. As he heads into the final sector now, it's looking like a really clean lap for him. As he heads down the back straight now, Shadow has finished the session. He will not be improving, so it'll be second for him at best. Here comes Lrc through the chicane now. Can he get himself onto the front row, and can he get even higher to take pole position at his home race? He's got 2 corners separating him from that potential. Here he comes now through the bankings. Lrc will be the first one to set a time here. Keeps it tight to the inside. Lrc in the Haas at his home race. Where can he go? He can go pole. Can anyone beat him though, because Julian is right behind him? Can Julian spoil the party for Lrc? No, he cannot. He gets close, he improves, but he is not close enough. And would you look at the gap between our top 3? That is such a close field spread there, and that is going to be the end of qualifying. There wasn't too many people actually setting extra laps, and so Lrc at his home race at Zandvoort will take pole position in the Haas. Brilliant drive by him, and Julian is going to get so close to taking it from him, but we'll have to settle for second place. Still a front row start for the Williams driver, who is looking so quick in LRC this season in what I believe is only his second race, and as we mentioned last time, has already made his mark. And Shadow in third place as well, so really entertaining session there towards the end, and our home favourite is on pole here in Zandvoort. So here it is in its finalised form. Lrc on pole position then from Julian second place, and then Shadow third. Red with a really solid fourth place, so another Dutch driver actually in the top 5 then, in the top 4 even. Red on his debut for Alfa Romeo starts from the second row of the grid. Really nicely done by him. I Like Trains in the second of the Mercedes starts 5th place, so solid stuff for them in the Constructors Championship hopes, with Jakarta 6th, Sandre 7th, Seoul 8th, Blundy 9th, and YBKX Ghost rounding out the top 10 for Red Bull. So here we go. Oh, we skipped the formation lap, so 5 red lights. And we are underway here in Zandvoort. Who is going to get the best start? It looked like a pretty good one for Lrc, so he's made amends on last time's start. And into turn 1, the Williams is going to try and dive it around the outside of Julian there. Can he make it work here? On the outside of turn 1, looks like everyone's kept it clean in the background. Yes, they have. And Lrc will keep the lead. So nice start by him this time. Does not lose any places, holds position. And Shadow is holding in third place as well. You'll see Jakarta up to 4th as they go side by side behind him. It's the Alfa Romeo of Red and Sandre in the Red Bull going wheel to wheel as they go into turn 7, but everybody quite sensibly switches to single file there as they make their way round this middle sector of the lap. I think somebody might have gone off towards the back, and yeah, it's Pole Diver in the McLaren, so Pole Diver spins out and drops down the order, and here comes the Aston Martin now round the outside of this wide hairpin, and Jakarta gets a brilliant exit out of the corner and gets ahead into third place, but he is on the medium tyres, so that is why he's got so much more grip than everybody else, and he is now up into third place and will be immediately, you'd imagine, looking to challenge the front 2 ahead. But Julian is looking to challenge the front 1 of Lrc, because Lrc is not looking quite so quick on the restart here, or well, on the second attempt at the start. And here comes Julian now. He's right up behind in the slipstream, pulls out to the left hand side. He's going to try and do what he did on the first lap again on the second lap here, round the outside of Tarzan at turn 1. Can he make the move stick? This time he's a lot closer as they head in towards turn 2. There's still wheel to wheel into turn 3. Julian on the inside, Jakarta trying to get involved as well, and Lrc is going to have to give up the position. No, he fights it back. There's contact between the 2 drivers. Jakarta's still trying to look to find a way through as they go wheel to wheel up the hill and into turn 7. Surely the Williams is going to get the move, but no, Lrc throws it up the inside, somehow keeping the fight alive, but he will have to squander the position now, and Julian takes the lead of the race. What a battle that was on only the second lap. So I tell you what, we might be in for a real treat of a race, but oh, contact! It's not a treat for Lrc because he gets hit round by Jakarta. He keeps it in the right direction somehow, and he's he minimised the damage, but he drops to 10th place. Our pole sitter at the end of lap 2 will be crossing the line in 10th. That is not good for him at all. He's lost so many places. Oh, another Red Bull's gone round there. That was Sondre has had an incident there, and one of the Alpha Tauris now in the background as well. Flavo losing the back end and resetting to track, but it's Julian who leads them across the line at the start of lap 2, and now we have a three-way fight going on for 4th place. Blundy leads them into turn 1, but the dive comes in up the inside from the Red Bull of YPKX Ghost, who's had a brilliant start on those soft tyres, and is up to 4th already. Fantastic stuff by him. The Red Bull started 9th place on the grid, and he's up to 4th, making excellent use of those soft compound tyres, and doing seriously well here, but he's not going to go unchallenged by Maxcon, who's right on the back. He also got through, as there might have been another incident further down the order. Lrc has dropped another 2 places, so I'm not entirely sure what happened. He's fighting Wiser Red at the moment, but I think we have a safety car. We do. We have a safety car deployed, as everybody gets checked up there. Hopefully didn't look like there was any contact made. I'm not sure what the safety car was for. I can't see anybody dropping down the order massively, but oh, Lrc, sorry, no, not Lrc, Wiser Red has not got a front wing, so that is not good for him. There you can see virtual safety car only, so this is going to be a huge shame for Wiser Red. He must have been the one who had the accident then. I'm not sure, it might have been on the exit of turn 3, putting the power down there. It is quite easy on the curb to spin into the inside wall, and that is going to be my best guess at what happened to him, as he is now without a front wing and without a full safety car either, so this could be quite painful for him. But it is not looking painful for Julian, who leads the way on the hard compound of tyres. Perfect start by him, and a really good start by Jakarta as well on the mediums, getting up into 2nd place, and Shadow's got a nice little gap behind him to YBXK Ghost, or YPKX Ghost, I can't get that right. I tell you what, I'll just call him Ghost from now on. And Maxcon up in 5th as well, so chaos at the race start, and we have quite a few drivers diving for the pits then, because the virtual safety car is still out. I wonder if it might have been upgraded to a full one, but no, it hasn't. So the racing is back underway then, and the fights will resume with it. There's, this time, now everybody's going to be on slightly colder tyres, so all of those guys on the softer compounds will be able to warm up the tyres a little bit easier than all the guys on the hard compound of tyres, who might be struggling through these first few corners, and might that lead us to a few battles? We'll have to wait and see. We did have Lrc and Wiser Red both into the pits, so not good starts for either of our home favourite drivers, starting 1st and 4th, I believe, for the 2 of them, and now running last and 2nd to last in the race. Meanwhile, was that was a move going on for 4th place here. Maxcon trying to make the move up the inside, a little bit of an unorthodox place, and there's contact between him and the Red Bull of Ghost, and on the exit of the corner is, well, Maxcon has stormed off from that contact that benefited him quite nicely, and did not help out Ghost, who's now coming under pressure from Blundy and Kvyat behind, but he will have the softer tyres to take advantage of. But no, diving for the pits, because we're already on lap 5 of the race, would you believe it? And now we've got a battle going on between Smolly and Sondre into turn 1, and a battle ahead between Blundy and Kvyat on the exit of turn 1. This is brilliant racing here, as everybody goes back to single file, but no, here comes the move from the Aston Martin of Kimmy, trying to make it work up the inside into turn 2 and into turn 3. He's going to try and go for the switchback now on the Dutch driver ahead of him, but he's not got quite enough of a good exit to make the move anytime soon. As now, look at this train of cars sailing through turn 7 here. Such a fast corner, and the dirty air will not be helping any of the guys, especially towards the back of the queue. But it's Blunty at the front of it, and Kvyat in 5th, and Sondre down in 6th places. Oh, running wide with Smolly there, and that is going to cost him the place that he was trying to hold on to, and it might cost him a few more places here. Kimmy's gotten through, but now side by side behind him is Saul Goodman and Hotspeed in the Alpine and the Alpha Tauri, and Saul Goodman is going to, well, hold. I'm not sure if he was holding position or losing it, or gaining one, sorry, but he might be losing one now, because here comes the Alpha Tauri round the outside. Saul went deep into the corner, and that is going to cost him a position here as Hotspeed gets back ahead, and now we have a fight going on for the lead of the race. Jakarta getting oh so close with the DRS to Julian there as they went into the first corner, but not close enough to make a move. But somebody who is close enough to go for one is round the outside. Sondre on Blundy getting up into 4th place, so the Red Bulls doing pretty well for themselves in the race at the moment. Of course, Ghost on the soft tyres pitted quite early, so we'll have to see how the strategy plays out for him towards the end, but his pace was looking seriously good. So we'll have to see. It looks like a good day for Red Bull so far, but we have Jakarta now trying to apply some pressure. He does have the faster compound of tyres to try and put some pressure on the leader, but there might have been an accident further down the order. There was indeed, and it's Flivo again spinning out at turn 3 this time. I wonder if it might have been the exit of turn 2 in fact, but either way he's found himself backwards on the exit of the corner and cuts across the McLaren and then drives into the McLaren of Pool Diver. And I have no idea what kind of move that was, and well, now he gets out of the way and, well, gets into the wall. So some very interesting driving going on down the back of the field. Here comes Weisered making his way around the outside, and those tyres are absolutely done for Flivo as he drops down to last place. But we have fighting still going on. Jakarta is, well, he's not quite as close this time as they head towards the first corner. Still getting that gap down to around about 3/10, but not close enough to go for a move. You do need to be a lot faster than the driver ahead of you here to make a pass, but somebody who is a lot faster is Smolly, going for the re-overtake on Kimi into turn 1. Kimi hit the grass there, and he's going to run really wide on the exit of Tarzan, but luckily for him, the banking will assist him quite a lot there in holding his position in P8 and limiting the damage and not losing too many places to the drivers behind him of Hotspeed and Soul, who are still fighting hammer and tongs here to try and see who can get 9th position and then advance further beyond that. Meanwhile, Loris further down the order has made the pass with DRS, I'd imagine, on Simo, who I think left the session earlier on. I'm not sure if he's joined back yet. It doesn't look like it by the speed that he's travelling at, so unfortunate for him. But meanwhile, Jakarta getting ever so close again with that DRS. You can see the gap down at 3/10 of a second as Flivo retires from the session now in the pit lane. It was a pretty miserable race for him, and unfortunately he has decided to call it there as we have Pool Diver now making his way out of the pits as, well, he's not actually as close to the car ahead as I was being told, so ignore that then. But is Jakarta going to be close enough this time to go for a move? No, he's even further back. So this is, well, I suppose this is what you would expect to see with every lap that passes. That hard tyre becomes slightly quicker and the medium tyre becomes slightly slower in terms of the pace deficit between the two. So Jakarta is slowly but surely losing his advantage, and he might have lost his chance to take the lead of this race, at least on the tyres as they are right now. But of course they will be on the opposite tyres again come the end of the race, so we'll have to see if it plays out differently there. Meanwhile, here's a battle going on in P10. So Soul and Hotspeed once again through turn 3 fighting it out, and Loris makes a move on one of the drivers in the pits there. That was Ghost back in the pits. That is not good for him, so I wonder if he must have had an accident or something, because he's already made his pit stop in this race. And Ghost now, that is a huge shame for him. He had such a good start to this race, and he's going to drop down to 15th place now. And well, without a safety car, he's going to have it all to do if he wants to make his way back up the order. So we wish him the best of luck with that. But still, this train is going on and continuing. They are getting spread further apart now, though, as you would expect. Although, as I say that, here comes Hotspeed trying to look for a little bit of a move. Kimi went deep once again into the chicane and is going to be vulnerable down the start-finish straight here. Jakarta, meanwhile, was not close enough to make the move into turn 1, continues to drop back and is actually dropping back into the clutches of Shadow behind him, so we'll keep an eye on that. But first and foremost, here comes Hotspeed now, right on the back of Kimi as they head towards turn 1. Is he close enough for the move? Not quite close enough, almost pushes Kimi round the corner, and luckily for both of them, there's no contact, but ahead, there is contact ahead, as round goes Smolly, and a huge accident there, and Hotspeed, the innocent bystander, gets taken out of the race, and Jakarta's crashed as well at the same time. What happened to Jakarta? We're going to ride on board with the Red Bull. There was a collision at the front of the field between Pool Diver and Jakarta. Pool Diver, who was a lap down, I think there must have been an accident between him and Jakarta, trying to let lap traffic through. The safety car deployed immediately, but now Jakarta, one of our drivers who was favourite in this race, doing so well in second place, is out of it and drops down as chaos just breaks out in a matter of seconds here in Zandvoort. It can do that, such is the nature of this track, so tight and twisty, with gravel traps and barriers looming large everywhere. And that has just caught out multiple of our drivers there. Luckily for Smolly, he is still, he's the only driver who was involved in a collision there, still going in this race. And yeah, I think it was contact between him and, was it Kvyat Bonner? It looked like it was one of the Ferraris. It must have been Kvyat Bonner who collided through turn 2, and it resulted in the Williams of Smolly getting spun out there. And luckily for him, like I say, it doesn't look to have any damage, although I'd be surprised if he doesn't. Yeah, it looks like he's got some side side pod and floor damage there, so that will not be helping him, especially around the high-speed corners at this track, and he will dive for the pits now, as quite a few drivers have done, Kimi being one of them. Kimi actually without a front wing, so Kimi must have gotten involved then, and I would suspect he must have been another driver who hit what was effectively the pinball that was Smolly just sort of sliding around the track from the spin, and because of how close those guys were together, it was basically inevitable that multiple cars were going to get involved. And then, well, Kimi's teammate, Jokata, I have no idea what happened to him, but I can only assume, well, the evidence quite clearly suggests that there was contact between him and the back marker of Paul Diver, and yeah, without actually seeing that, I cannot try to direct any blame. I'll leave that job to the stewards. But yeah, I would imagine a very unhappy Jokata right now, and understandably so. That's a huge shame for him. He was looking so good in this race, but yeah, like many of the drivers in the top 5 at the start of this one. In fact, yeah, only 2 drivers who started in the top 5 are still in the top 5. So that tells you a bit about how insane this race has been so far. But the one driver who's had basically no issues is Julian, who's put in a very clean drive so far and leads the way because of it. As I have to use this safety car to take a little bit of a break myself. It's full on for the first 11 laps of this race, and well, long may it continue, because that was some seriously good racing, but we've got to hope with less collisions, because up until that point the drivers were doing a fantastic job putting on some awesome racing that you probably wouldn't have been expecting here at Zandvoort if you've watched the real life races anyway. LRC, as we know, nothing like real life when it comes to racing, because well, no matter what track we go to, we have usually overtakes galore, and the drivers are finding their way once again, even at Zandvoort, to make action happen. And yeah, like I say, hopefully that does continue once the safety car peels back into the pits, but I'm going to try and get a picture of what tyres everybody's on. Unfortunately, we do not have the graphic to use, so I'll try and tell you what, I think we can use this one, so let me see if I can figure this one out. If I pull up the telemetry, that might show us. No? Oh, here we go. There we go, it's the detail. Alright, here we go. So that is the tyres for everybody then. It is Julian and all of the top 4 who are still on the same hard compound tyres that they started on, and Sandre now running 3rd in this race, doing seriously well in the Red Bull, and Blundy doing really well in the Alfa Romeo, up in 4th place as well. Then it's his teammate, sorry, not his teammate, then it's Saul Goodman behind in the Alpine. I just realised I turned on the... How have I done that? Oh yes, there we go. Okay, get rid of that. Yeah, Saul Goodman in 5th place on fresh hard tyres, so he made his pit stop. I would assume then, well, I would hope for his sake that he started on the mediums and is now going to be going to the end in this race. It was quite a well-timed safety car as far as strategy go, because I would surely imagine that from here you can most definitely make it to the end, especially with the few laps of tyre saving that the safety car will contribute. Lrc now back up into 6th place on some 8-lap old mediums. Those are the ones that he pitted onto under the first virtual safety car. And yeah, his race is, well, he's making that recovery drive. It's taking along slowly, but that, well, those multiple incidents have boosted him massively up the order, and with multiple drivers making the pit stops as well, he is now flying fairly high in this race once again, up in the top 6 now, with Kvyat Bonnet in behind him. But I will say about Lrc, he will most definitely have to stop again, as will quite a lot of the drivers in this race. So I think it's only Kimi, Maxcon and Blundy, and Saul, who are going to be going to the end from this point onwards. Has somebody gone round? Yes, somebody's gone round. It's Blundy. Blundy in the Alfa Romeo has spun out under safety car conditions, and we were just talking about him from 4th place, spins out under safety car, does a George Russell effect, respectively, and he's picked up some damage by the looks of things as well. Yeah, left end plate damage, and suddenly what was turning out to be a great race for Blundy is just completely unravelled. But we have the safety car in this lap that was short-lived. I was expecting another lap or two there, but I suppose with the shortness of this circuit, it makes the safety car periods quite a bit shorter here. But yeah, with that in mind, we're going to have to look to Julian now to see when he will plant the throttle and when he will get this race back underway. We have another 24 laps of presumably great racing amidst a bit of carnage, and it kicks off right here, because here goes Julian, gets a nice exit there, no signs of any wheel spin, and he will lead them away down the start finish straight from now Shadow in second place after the crash with Joe Carter. Everyone trying to get heat into the tyres, the hard tyre runners especially. Meanwhile, here's the first fight, Lrc on the mediums going for a double overtake there on the restart. Sorry, no, it's just one overtake, and gets it done and gets up into fourth place. Brilliant restart by him to get ahead of the other medium tyre runner off Kvyat Bonner, who's ahead of Saul Goodman now as well. So Saul Goodman drops down 2 places on the restart, struggling to get heat into those hard tyres, and Lrc now has got a brilliant exit off of turn 3 because he's already gotten ahead of Sondre. So brilliant stuff by Lrc, making great use of those medium tyres. They are basically 9 laps old. They're roughly in the optimum window, maybe a little bit out of it by now, but he'll have been able to get heat into those tyres so much easier, and you can see that here because he's immediately onto the back of Shadow. So Lrc, our home favourite, has not given up in this race, and he is certainly far from doing so, because he's in third place now and looking to try and get even higher. Of course, everyone in the top 3 will have to pit. It'll just be onto different tyres, so Lrc wants to make the most of the tyre advantage whilst he has it now. Meanwhile, further down the order, there is a battle going on between Smolly and YBKX Ghost, as Smolly in the Williams gets ahead on the soft compound of tyres, and Ghost is going to try and fight it back through the final corner, and looks like he will be able to get the move done. So nice job by him, as here comes a fight. Was that? No. It was, sorry, no, yeah, that was a move. It was Sondre getting back ahead and getting up into 4th place and overtaking the Ferrari of Kvyat. But sorry, no, that wasn't. Apologies. I've had a David Croft moment there. Ignore that. We'll move on. There's a lot going on in the restart here, as you can expect, and one of the things that was going on, it looked like there was about to be a battle between Macron and Weiserud, but Weiserud has dropped back a little bit through turn 3, so the order settles down a little bit now, but Lrc is far from settling down. He's on the medium tyres and looking to make the most of the advantage, because of course he will be on the hard tyres when everybody else is on the mediums at the end of the race, so he's not on the perfect strategy right now, but he is still... This is very much his track position, so he's wanting to do as much as he can right now whilst he has the advantage. And meanwhile, Kvyat Bonner will be attempting basically the same thing, just for 4th instead of 2nd. As Weiserud now on the medium tyres, like I was expecting him to, is closing up to the back of Maxcon. And our other Dutch driver in this race, one of 3, is running 9th place at the moment, but will be eagerly looking to make it one higher than that as he pulls out for the move here, as he goes for 8th position into turn 1, round the outside. It is banked here, so you can make the outside line work, and that is exactly what Weiserud is going to try to do, combined with the tyre advantage. They bang tyres on the exit of turn 1 through turn 2 now, and it's still side by side between the Alfa Romeo and the Haas, but surely the move will get done. But no, with the high line, Maxcon is able to get the move back, and they're still neck and neck as they climb the rise here, and Maxcon will hold position. Brilliant defensive driving by the German there, and oh, here comes a move now. Oof, gosh, getting so close there. There might have been a little bit of contact actually into that corner, and Weiserud clipping the grass on entry. He's impatiently looking to get past. He knows how quick he can be in this race, especially on that medium tyres, and he needs to make the advantage count whilst it still can. But Maxcon is, well, he's having none of it and is putting up a seriously stern defence right now. Meanwhile, Kvyat Bonner was getting quite close to Sondre, but not close enough to make the pass ahead. So the order all stays the same for the time being, but Lrc is once again going to be looking to change that, but he's going to struggle to. Didn't get the best exit out of the final turn, and yeah, Shadow is going to hold position for the time being, and might actually, but yeah, he is getting very close to our race leader of Julian here, so we'll have to keep an eye on that battle as well. Everyone seriously close after this restart here, and here we go, it's deja vu on the exit of turn 1. This time though, Maxcon gets a nice run through the inside line, and is going to hold position before they even get to turn 2. and continues to be a thorn in the side of that Alfa Romeo, because Wisered is just being hindered this whole time. Of course, both of them very quick and competent drivers, but with the tyre advantage that Wisered does have, he is hoping to try and get past here without burning out those medium tyres, which are already 6 laps old now. And yeah, oh, there's a yellow flag up ahead and somebody's gone off, I think. Yeah, there was Kvyat Bonner. So Kvyat Bonner was trying to make the challenge to go for 4th place, but in the end, he has just had a spin on the exit of turn 9, and now is going to drop down to P9 and be fighting it round the outside with the Red Bull, who he collides with. Ghost gets spun round on the inside there, and Kvyat Bonner is, well, that is not good for him, and even worse for Ghost, who's just been the innocent bystander there, having a torrid time of things in this race so far, and not going to get any easy for him at the moment by the looks of things. But is anyone going to be able to make the challenge for the lead yet? They're getting closer every lap, these three, and all sort of converging in on each other, but not quite yet. I think we might have to wait another lap or two for that battle to really kick off, but when it does, we can, I'm sure, expect to see some fireworks. But here comes now Wisered once again, practically pushing MaxCon through the corners. He's going to try the high line this time. Round the outside, he'll get the better exit, but he lost too much going into the corner and is not going to be able to make any kind of gains on the Haas driver, and will have to sit in that dirty air and see that Haas logo on the rear wing for yet another lap. Much to his dismay, I'm sure, as look how much quicker he is through the middle sector. This is even with dirty air, and he's going to try it up the inside. MaxCon just about sees him coming, and Wisered has to back out of it at the last second there, getting hit across the curb, and losing traction, as you very often do around the curbs here. They do absolutely bite, and Wisered testing the limits there, and he's going to have to settle down now, and after making an audacious attempt at an overtake, because it's not paid off too well for him. As you can see, he's losing a bit of traction, and I wonder if those mediums are starting to go off for him. Meanwhile, on the exit of the final corner, this is the closest it's been between Shadow and Julian. The gap below 5/10 as they start this lap, but not close enough once again. It needed to be, I believe it needs to be about 0.3 of a second out of the final corner, at least if Jokata's pace was anything to go by earlier on. As spin for Saul Goodman on the exit of Tarzan, and Saul Goodman drops it from doing so well in this race, and now breaks his front wing in some incredible display of Codemasters physics there. And well, there was what was going to be an annoying incident, but still a fairly minor one for him, has just become a major one, because his front wing has just been, well, clearly it was being held on by PVA glue there. It's just fallen off the front of his car, and he is going to have to make his way back into the pits now, and that is so unfortunate for him. Just a slightest little mistake under traction on the exit of the first corner, and he is dropping down to 9th place, and then will have to come into the pits. And yeah, his perfect strategy of going to the end on those hard tyres is going to be scuppered. That's so unfortunate for him. Meanwhile, here we go again towards the front of the field for round 5, I believe, of this. This is these guys getting close once again. The gap now down to 0.4 as they exit the final corner. Is Shadow close enough again? He looks to the inside, just trying to scare Julian offline, basically, as Lrc just keeping tucked in behind, using the DRS from these two to sort of pull himself along on what are now quite outdated medium tyres. He won't have the same advantage that he had at the restart here, so he's just trying to hang in there and stick with these guys, because he knows by the very end of the race he will have the same pace advantage that these guys have over him now. As meanwhile, Wisered has finally been able to get past Kvyat. Sorry, no, he was already ahead of Kvyat Bonner. He's still not got past MaxCon though, so it's, I wonder if those medium tyres have indeed gone off for him. He was pushing so hard to try and get past the Haas that I suspect his tyres might be starting to drop off already, but he is still right on the back of MaxCon, who's getting held up a bit behind Kimi in the Aston Martin, who has now cycled through to 5th place in this race, so putting in a solid shift so far. I think Kimi's one of the few drivers not to have any major mistakes at any point in this race, so has been paid quite well in return for that by the F1 gods, with a current top 5 position in the race, but that will be coming under siege very shortly from MaxCon. Meanwhile, is the lead coming under siege? It's so close into turn 1 and diving it up the inside of Shadow. He was trying to make something work, but it might have worked for him, because the Williams has got a big slide on the exit. Julian not looking good on the traction there. He had to change his line mid-corner through the first turn, and here is the battle now. This is what we were talking about. Lrc might might be on old medium tyres, but that is not going to cause him to shy away from the fight, because these guys are all on old hard tyres as well. As they go through turn 7 now, look how close they are. You could throw a blanket over the top 3 here. We've got 16 laps to go in the race. Still a pit stop left for everyone in the top 3. In fact, for pretty much everyone who's, everyone in the top 10 will still have to stop in this race. So these are your track positions now, and everyone is, because of that, very eager to make up as many places as they can. Lrc now looking closer to Shadow than Shadow is to Julian. He's dropped back a little bit, has the Mercedes driver on this lap after trying to mount a challenge, and you can see on his steering wheel he's got very little battery left. It's down to 16% it looks like, which will not be helping him out, because once he gets onto the straight, he's not going to have much juice left to try and power past the Williams. It's a similar gap again once they get into the DRS zone. Now diving for the pits is our race leader, so in comes Julian. Does not speed into the pit lane. Most importantly for him, is Lrc close enough to do anything to turn 1? No, he's not. So here we go then. Our race leader in for a change of tyres onto the mediums as we expected. Looked like a good clean stop for him there. Had no damage to replace, so he is back underway now and back already onto the track. And he's going to come out just behind the Ferrari of Kvyat there, which is not the perfect place to rejoin, as he is going to get some dirtier, but on those cold medium tyres they'll be more focused on just trying to bring those cold tyres up to temperature and ease them into this race here, because he's going to need every single ounce of life he can get out from them come at the end of this race, with the battle that will surely be resuming once everybody does complete the pit stops. But we'll have to see what strategy will be working best, because we still have Lrc and Shadow, of course, yet to pit, and we'll have to see if it's the undercut or the overcut that works best. Meanwhile, here comes Red trying it again on Maxcon. It looked like he was going to go for the move, but never mind, he decides against it. And now this fight is, well, it's effectively taken the place of the fight for the lead here. It's a 3-way fight for 4th now, as it is, net 5th place. And these guys still so close together, but I think Kimi has the straight line speed advantage, and that is helping him out here. Meanwhile, into the pits has gone Shadow, so we'll have to see how he gets along. But here comes Maxcon into turn 1 now, dives it up the inside. Kimi runs a little bit wide there, and that might open the door for Red to try and get through as well. Lrc came into the pits too, so this is a fight for 2nd on the road now, and Maxcon's got it done. Kimi still trying to fight it for 3rd, side by side with the Alfa Romeo of Red as they exit turn 3, but Red, with the high line, is able to get much better traction, and on the medium tyres as well, gets ahead of Kimi. So Kimi drops 2 places there. Meanwhile, the battle resumes already between Lrc and Shadow, and Kvyat are getting involved as well. The Ferrari trying to fight for his place in this race. He will have to stop again because he's on 12-lap old medium tyres, so this is not his race to be fighting. But despite that, he is getting involved, probably not by his own choice. He just couldn't find a way to get out of the way there. It is quite hard to do at that section of the track, but Lrc comes out right behind Shadow, and Julian has opened up a little bit of a gap here, and he's going to be over and outside of DRS range to Shadow. Well, just about as things stand, but if Shadow can get a good run through the chicane, he might just be able to sneak his way back in. Is he going to be close enough? No. Julian was quicker, so those warmer tyres paying dividends for him here, as Julian now starts to scamper away and is going to be out of DRS for the first time since the safety car restart, or since before the safety car restart. And Shadow is now going to be left to fight against Lrc behind him, and Lrc actually has gone for another set of mediums because, of course, he started the race on the hards. So Lrc has also got mediums, so all 3 of our net top 3 in this race do have a set of medium compound tyres to basically have an equal fight to the end now. Meanwhile, now for P2, this fight between Maxcon and Red is still burning on about 10 laps after it started, as Red gets a huge snap of oversteer there, big twitch on mid-corner. He's not been doing too well at that turn, and it catches him out once again, and he's going to drop back now behind, he's almost dropped out of DRS range to Maxcon ahead of him. He will just about stay in, but he's going to drop into the clutches of Kimi behind, who is, I would imagine, probably quite eager to try and make some repasses. Of course, as we have been saying, this is all for position, so basically every driver that you pass at this point is going to be a free place for you. But it looks like everything has just started to settle down a little bit now, as we finally, after 24 laps, find our first moments of peace in this race. So enjoy it while it lasts. I'm sure it won't last very long, as we're just sort of at this intermediary phase now as everybody makes their pit stops. But I tell you what, Shadow has very quickly closed back down the gap to Julian. He is not letting the Williams driver get away. I wasn't sure if Julian might be able to try and just sort of drive off into the sunset there after breaking DRS. I was wondering if maybe that was what was holding him back this whole time, but no, clearly it wasn't. And Shadow immediately well back within DRS range, and Lrc a little bit further behind, but still keeping with him as well, as they make their way through this extra twisty middle sector where the Dirty Air will be doing plenty of favours to our race leader and no favours to second place and third place, so net second and third, 6th and 7th on the road of Shadow and Lrc behind, as meanwhile Wiser Red is still right on the back of Maxcon. These guys will be the first to fight it out down the start finish straight, and then we might just see a battle for the net lead coming up straight afterwards. So here we go then. Maxcon, he's got a bit of a gap, about 4/10 to Wiser Red behind, so it might have to be a dive bomb if Wiser Red wants to make this move. He's not got the straight line speed compared to the Haas driver, and well, I would imagine that is what's been holding him back for so long in this race, just clearly running a little bit too much downforce, and that is costing him here. But here comes the fight. Oh, and round goes Shadow. Shadow at turn 1, they'd already gotten there, and Shadow has spun out. I wonder if he was going for the move or what, but Shadow on the inside, it might have just been from clipping the curb, but our driver who was running net second in the race has spun out. No damage for him, but he is down the order now and drops behind Kvyat Bonner, of course still yet to pit, but he's crucially 8 seconds behind Lrc now, who resumes net P2 in this race and will now have basically open track ahead of him to try and fight against Julian to see if he can snatch away this race win. But that is such a shame for Shadow, because without a safety car now, his chances of victory in this race might have just been, well, completely taken away for him. We only saw the back end of that incident. No idea what exactly it was that happened to him. It might have been an attempt at an overtake, maybe someone closing the door, or just by clipping the curb on the inside. But whatever it is, I have to say I'm a little bit disappointed, because that has starved us of what was going to be an epic battle for the lead. So super unfortunate for Shadow. But it's very fortunate for these two, because they now, Julian and Lrc, the two drivers who started on the front row, will be the ones left to fight it out for the race win. Well, you would imagine so, but I tell you what, if there was a safety car to come out right about now, this it would seriously shake up the order, I think, because we still have Sundre on 25 lap old hard tyres that he's been on since the start of the race, effectively, and still leading the way by about 5 seconds from Maxcon behind, who's still got, obviously, Wiser Red right up behind him. Kimmy a little bit further back, but then the gap to Julian, it is a further 4 seconds on top of that. So if the safety car did come out, we would get a seriously exciting end to this race. And, well, I think everybody knows what safety cars at the end of the race are like in LRC. We've had so many of them in recent memory. We had one in Silverstone, one in Spa, and I think we might have had one in Austria before that as well. But either way, whether there is or isn't one, we might still be able to get a battle for the lead. But Lrc doesn't seem to have that same pace that Shadow had, as Ghost is now disconnected. It looks like it is just that, only a disconnect for him, and hopefully he's able to get back in. He is still running in the points in this race, albeit on a set of soft tyres. So hopefully he's able to make it to the end on those. It might be quite a stretch, but yeah, Lrc out of DRS range now of Julian. So once the top 4 come into the pits, that will be Julian in the race lead once again, and out of DRS range from Lrc, failing any mistakes here. But the fight continues, of course it does, between these two. Maxcon and Wiser Red still battling it out for second and third in this race. Wiser Red on the medium tyres, of course, Maxcon on the hard tyres, and by this point the advantage is going to be with Maxcon after 17 laps on those compounds. It's not going to be helping out anymore. As, oh, Smolly with an accident there. Was that in the pits? I'm not sure. No, safety car deployed. Well, there you go. Speak of the devil, I just saw it in the bottom corner. There it is. And yeah, it was an accident. Out of the final corner, or out of the penultimate corner, Smolly in the Williams has dropped it. And this makes things very interesting, because here comes our race leader now of Sundre, who is rounding the final corner and will get to come into the pits under safety car conditions. And this is going to be a grand slam into this race here, as it well, so often is. I was literally just saying about how frequently this has happened, as everyone pours into the pits now. Julian is going to stay out, Lrc stays out as well, and Julian will inherit the lead here, as we were expecting, but Sondre, I think, is going to take third. Indeed he will. And yeah, Sondre suddenly back onto a podium position and on a set of soft tyres. With only, well, what will be, once the safety car comes in, about 5 or 6 laps to go in the race, we have suddenly a seriously interesting mix of strategy. And, well, commentator's curse has worked in our favour here for fans of good racing and exciting races to the checkered flag, because now, the second I say it, we have a safety car comes out. Unfortunately, though, it does have to come at the cost of Smolly, who was running, I think he was outside the top 10 in this race, so it didn't look like he was on course to get any points, unfortunately for him, and yeah, the bad day does indeed get worse for him in the Williams. At his home race, this is not what he'd have hoped for. He was showing some more promising pace than we had seen from him previously, but an accident at the penultimate turn has unfortunately curtailed his efforts today. But we have to thank him for his sacrifice, because we will now have a seriously good end to this race. So let's run you through what we can expect here. We've got Lrc and Julian leading the way on 7-lap old mediums, Lrc on 6, and then Sondre on fresh soft tyres in the Red Bull, with Shadow behind on 6-lap old mediums, then Maxcon on fresh softs, Wisered on I think those are actually fresh mediums. Well, they're not fresh mediums, but they're a scrub set that he'd used earlier on in the race, so he has pit onto another set of mediums. Oh, no, he's going to the pits again here. So he's changed his mind. He wants to be on a set of soft tyres. He was, yeah, he was on mediums. Okay, so yeah, he was on mediums, he pitted, and I'm going to assume he forgot to change his tyre compound, and for some reason the game gave him a set of scrub tyres, but now he's got a wing change coming in as well, so yeah, wholesale changes effectively for Wisered. He will only drop to 7th place though, because Blundy is quite a way behind, and he's going to get close actually, but no, Wisered will get him on the exit of turn 1, I think. Going to be seriously close between them, but yeah, Wisered will stay ahead and just about inherit 7th place in this race. So once the safety car resumes, we will have some very quick drivers, all of our top 4 from qualifying in the top 7 in the race. And yeah, Wisered down in 7th place, but the only one from that top 4 who will be starting on soft tyres. So his pace is going to be seriously interesting to watch out for here, as I think Kimmy just disconnected from the session, so that's not good for him. Hopefully he's able to rejoin before the safety car does come in. I would imagine so, because I suspect it'll be at least one more lap after this one. And yeah, at safety car speed that should be sufficient time, but Julian is going to have to prepare here, and Lrc, I've just noticed, has a penalty, so that is going to come back to haunt him potentially now. Lrc with well, a bunched up field of cars behind him, and the race leader within touching distance in front of him is going to have to try and overcome what I'm going to assume is probably a 3-second time penalty, and that is going to be a serious challenge for the Dutch driver here. You can see the well, the home crowd have turned out as they as you would expect them to do, whether it be for Lrc or Wisered or Smolly. I'll leave that up to you to decide, but either way, Lrc is going to have to he's going to have to use that home crowd energy to good use here, because with that time penalty, he's going to be fighting for just about every position he can now, because everyone behind him who gets within I'm assuming 3 seconds is going to be promoted a place. So he's going to have to put in some blistering lap times here, but like I say, everyone behind him not only bunched up but on soft tyres as well. So this race that was, well, it was looking great for Lrc, and then bad for Lrc, and then good for Lrc, and now it's not looking too good again, because, well, with a few laps to go, he is going to have to do everything he knows within his power to try and hold on for these places. Meanwhile, Shadow is going to be quite happy about the safety car, I'm sure. Although he didn't pit onto a set of soft tyres, I wonder if he might be regretting that decision now. He's going to stick it out on the mediums and go full push to the end, and hope that they are going to be enough, combined with his raw speed that we saw earlier in this race. We know that he has the pace to challenge our race leader of Julian, but is he going to be able to get past Sondre to even get there in the first place, or will the Red Bull driver and the Haas of Maxcon, Kimmy and Wisered all behind, be able to try and capitalise first with the soft compound of tyres? Well, I suspect we might be about to find out here. I would assume safety car is going to be in at the end of this lap. We'll wait a second for confirmation. There it is. So, interesting is an understatement, end to this race coming up in a few seconds' time. Here we go then. I have to get myself prepared here, because this is going to be a seriously thrilling end to this race, as we so often see. Hopefully no more safety cars from here on out. What we want here is 5 laps or 6 laps of clean, hard-fought racing. It's up to Julian once again. When is he going to put down that throttle? He's driving very slowly at the moment here, and on the exit of the corner, is he going to go? Yes, he is. So there goes our race leader, and the race is back underway now. Lrc didn't get the best of restarts there, and he's dropped back by about half a second. So did Sundry behind, and so many drivers not getting the great restarts that they'd have been hoping for, and that has spread out the field quite a bit here immediately. Shadow trying to get heat into those medium tyres to defend from the oncoming storm of soft tyre runners behind him, and it looks like everyone's held position so far, but there's a fight going on here between the Alfa Romeo and the Alpine. Saul Goodman and Blundy, and Saul Goodman gets around the outside of turn 2 and makes the move. Meanwhile, here comes Kimi now trying to fight against, oh sorry, no, that was Weisered making the move against Kimi and getting up to 6th place. So good progress by him in this race. We know how quick he is, and with those soft compound tyres, he might still be able, if he can keep up this pace of overtaking, he might yet be able to try and challenge for a podium, if not a race win. He's right on the back of Maxcon, is effectively his arch nemesis in this race. He's seen this sight so many times before, and he is sick of it, and he wants to get ahead of that Haas driver now. Here he comes, he's got fully charged battery into the chicane. Maxcon will force him the long way round. They go side by side again for what must be about the 12th time in this race. Bang tyres at the apex. Weisered is trying to force his way through here. He knows what's at stake, but Maxcon knows it full well too. And round the outside goes Weisered at the final corner through the banking. Spectacular racing, and Maxcon is going to have to rescind the position, but he's got the straight line speed advantage, we know that. And into turn 1, will he dive it up the inside? Yes he will, but he dives it too far. There's contact, and so eventually it was going to happen, and Maxcon has been the victim who's come off worse here. He tried to go for the move there to fight it back, and it has not worked out for him at all. Just a little bit too late on the brakes, slammed into the side pod of the Alfa Romeo, and he is out of the session and retires. So he retired on the track there. It doesn't look like there's no sign of a safety car just yet, which is good to see. And yeah, we are going to stay green here. So that is Maxcon out of the race all of a sudden, and out of the session as well, in what I would imagine is probably disgust, and understandably so. And I'd assume a lot of frustration at himself there, because that was undoubtedly his mistake going into that first corner there, and he will have to try and recalibrate himself and come back next week, because he was on for potentially a seriously good finish here. But now his teammate is going to try and go for an even better finish and try to take the race win at his home race away from Julian. He's going to be right in the slipstream here as they go down the start-finish straight. DRS has enabled this lap. Sundry's right with them on those soft compound of tyres. Round the outside, Lrc looking for the move. Tries to go for the switchback now as they head towards turn 2. But the Williams of Julian is going to cover that off as they go into the banking now. A little bit of a puff of smoke from the lockup there from Julian, and Lrc, he knows that he needs to try and get ahead, and not only does he need to get ahead of Julian, but he needs to then drive off about a 3-second gap from him as well. But his pace is looking good right now. This is not the pace that we were seeing from Lrc earlier on in the race, where he was struggling to keep up a little bit with Julian. He's now much quicker, well, by the looks of things, a lot quicker than the Williams ahead of him, and going full push here to try and at least get himself onto the podium at his home race. Meanwhile, Sundry is looking to try and push for what could even be, if these two start fighting, his first race win in LRC. After only a few races of being here, he's currently set on the podium right now, and he's got about a second gap to Shadow behind, who's not got the same pace that he had earlier on the mediums, but he is closing in that gap, slowly but surely, as the leaders fight their way, well, fight it for every place ahead of them. Shadow is closing up to them, but he's still not quite within DRS just yet. So, Lrc, with DRS now this time, he's not close enough to go for anything into turn 1, neither is Sundry, and the field just starting to split apart a little bit here. Meanwhile, Saul Goodman is not splitting apart. He's looking to try and get the move on Kvyat Bonner here. He's got some good pace on the restart. He's already made one move, and he's going to try and go for another, but he's not close enough just yet. Meanwhile, on the exit of turn 3, once again, we've already seen in this race, Lrc getting some great exits there, and he's done it once again. He's right up to the back of Julian into turn 7 here, really putting the pressure onto the Williams driver. If he were to make a mistake right now, there would be, well, it would be straight through into the lead for Lrc. So we'll have to see, is everyone going to be able to keep it clean? We've not seen any mistakes from Julian, or really any from Lrc yet in this race, apart from earlier on. So we'll have to see, but oh no, right as I say that, a huge slide on the exit. Why do I even open my mouth at this point? And Lrc gets a massive slide and is going to have to fight it out now against Shadow into the chicane, and Shadow gets the move done up into third place. Lrc is going to try and fight it back. There's contact on the exit of the corner. I thought for a second Shadow might be going round again there, but now side by side with the Alfa Romeo of Weisered, the two Dutch drivers fighting out for 4th and 5th in the race now. Weisered on that softer compound of tyre is going to look to make the move. Lrc comes across aggressively to say, no, 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 you are not getting past me. He wants to be the home favourite into turn 1. There's contact again, side pod to tyre, and somehow they both keep it facing in the right direction, and Weisered will have to give up that position for the time being at least, but he is on those soft tyres, and he will be quicker surely than Lrc ahead of him. Meanwhile, Julian leads from Sondre, who has now inherited 2nd place in the race. You can see, well, you saw for a second just how close the gap is between these, well, the whole top 5 really. There's not too much of a gap to Shadow behind. It's only about 1.5 seconds, so if anything went wrong for these two, then Shadow all of a sudden would find himself in the race lead. But let's see if we can hopefully this time be able to get some clean wheel-to-wheel racing instead of mistakes, and we could have a seriously exciting end here, because we are approaching the final lap of the race. Through the chicane for the penultimate time, Julian running a little bit wide, but he will get a slightly better exit. Of course, Sondre on those soft tyres, they are starting to wear out a little bit now, you'd imagine, but he's not gonna let that phase him, and he's gonna be going full push here. The gap is down to 0.4 of a second. What is the straight line speed like for Sondre? It's not good enough. He's not got enough pace in a straight line to make the move, so he's going to have to use those soft tyres to the best advantage he can to try and make something happen in the corners, which is going to be a seriously difficult task here. We've seen already how moves like that, through Sector 2 especially, can turn out quite badly, so we'll have to see if he can do anything here, but will desperation get the better of anyone? It's the final lap of the race now here in Zandvoort, and Lrc still trying to make up places. He knows he's got the penalty, but he's still trying to push anyway, be it for pride if nothing else, and he wants to get onto the podium, at least when they cross the finishing order. Might not be able to actually stand there, but he wants to get ahead of Shadow. But can Sondre do anything as they go towards the final sector of the race now? He's right onto the back of the Williams driver, but he doesn't get the best exit out of the wide hairpin, and as they head towards the chicane, this one might just be sealed, done and dusted for Julian. As they go through the final few corners, Lrc not close enough to make anything happen either, so Shadow is going to hold on to take 3rd place on the podium. Through the final 2 corners now, here comes the man who has dominated this race. Julian has put in a stellar performance today. It didn't work out for him in Belgium, but it will work out for him in Zandvoort. Julian wins the Lrc Zandvoort Grand Prix here in Tier 1, and Shadow will hold on for 3rd place. Weisered gets 4th place, and Lrc drops right down the order from that penalty. Kvyat Bonner, Saul Goodman and Kimi all jumping ahead of him, and Saul and Kvyat Bonner providing us our mandatory photo finish, as we often and always see at least one in Lrc, and it's those two this time fighting it out for what was 6th and 7th there, and it will be 7th for Kvyat Bonner and 6th place for Saul Goodman. Julian this time has been able to make it work and will take the win here in Zandvoort. Brilliant drive by him in that Williams, and he takes over the reins now officially, if he hadn't done already, from Okran, and will carry on the spear of being the team leader at Williams with a fantastic race win. It was 2nd in Belgium, but he is on the top step now, so brilliant job to him, and an even better job, I have to say, well, maybe not an even better job, but an equally fantastic job by Sondre on those soft tyres, making the strategy work in the Red Bull and getting up into what will be 2nd place on the podium. Brilliant stuff by him.